They told you it was just coincidence. But what if every so-called coincidence is actually a breadcrumb? A coded signal sent through space-time by a version of you that already knows the ending. Let me tell you a story about this. One morning, a woman named Clara gets a call from an unknown number. No one speaks. A few seconds later, her favorite childhood song, one she hasn't heard in over 20 years, suddenly begins playing on the radio. Confused but curious, she steps outside and notices a butterfly tattoo on a stranger's wrist. The exact design she once drew in her diary, but never showed anyone. That same night, she discovers an old letter from her grandmother tucked inside a book she didn't even remember owning. It says, "You already know. Just trust the path." Clara feels shaken. Is this randomness, or is something or someone trying to reach her? Here's the paradox they never taught you in school. Time doesn't move in a straight line. Your past isn't behind you, and your future isn't waiting ahead. It's all unfolding right now. In another vibrational layer of existence, another you is already living the life your soul is trying to remember. And synchronicities, they aren't coincidences. They're transmissions, but here's the truth most people overlook, and it changes everything. Synchronicities aren't passive signals. They're interactive invitations. When you encounter one, a repeating number, a symbol, a sudden encounter, you're not just witnessing the extraordinary. You're being witnessed too. The field is watching how you respond, because your reaction decides whether that timeline expands or collapses into silence. Pause for a moment. What if you've already ignored a dozen messages from your future self today without realizing it? Modern quantum physics is beginning to confirm what mystics and sages have said for centuries. We don't live in a fixed world, but in a sea of overlapping probabilities. According to the many worlds interpretation, every choice, emotion, and intention branches into infinite timelines, all equally real, all existing now. Which means the version of you who already healed, already found love, abundance, and clarity, already exists. The only question is, are you aligned enough to receive what they're trying to show you? This is where the first glitch in our perception appears. We've been taught to treat synchronicities like little gifts from the universe, sweet cosmic winks that make us feel seen. But that's not their real purpose. The deeper truth is this. They are feedback loops, real-time signals that your consciousness is brushing against a higher vibrational frequency. The instant you align, even slightly and with a new potential, the field responds. Instantly. You're not just seeing signs. You're both sending and receiving energy at once. But that realization opens a haunting question. What happens when you feel nothing? No signs, no coincidences, only silence. That silence isn't punishment, and it's feedback. It's a mirror showing incoherence, a moment when your thoughts, emotions, and energy have drifted out of sync with your future self. The field isn't rejecting you. It's waiting for your signal to become clear again. Think of it like tuning a radio. The station is always broadcasting. But if your dial is even slightly off, all you hear is static. The melody of your future is already playing. But if you're lost in fear, noise, or endless analysis, you can't hear it. Not because it's gone, but because you're not there yet. Now, flip the perspective. What if the breakup you went through last year wasn't heartbreak at all, but a vibrational correction? A realignment meant to guide you towards someone who activates your next evolution? What if the job you lost wasn't the collapse of your stability, but your future self shaking you out of a timeline you were never meant to stay on? The universe doesn't speak in words. It speaks through resonance, frequency, and synchronicity. Every time you feel déjà vu, every time someone says exactly what you were thinking, every time your body reacts before your mind catches up, that's a clue. A marker, a data packet from your multidimensional self. And here's the twist most people never notice. We delete the message before opening it. Why? Because the moment we demand logic, we mute intuition. We start asking, what does this mean? Instead of what is this awakening in me? That's the missing piece your rational mind can't stand. Because there is no logical explanation for a message meant for your soul. And yet, paradoxically, quantum science is beginning to validate this mystery. In physicist John Wheeler's delayed choice experiment, particles behave differently depending on how and when they're observed, even retroactively. Meaning, your observation in the present can literally influence the particle's past path. Translation: your awareness right now has the power to reshape both your past and your future. Let that truth settle into your cells. Your present moment isn't a result. It's a control panel. This isn't just mysticism. It's physics, biology, and the architecture of manifestation itself. Synchronicities are the neural bridges between timelines. You're not merely noticing signs. You're walking across quantum connections built by the parts of you that already know where you're going. But everything changes when you start responding deliberately. When you begin to treat each synchronicity not as a random wink, but as a coded transmission, a mission brief from your higher self, the entire simulation reacts. The field amplifies. Reality starts to bend. In the next phase, we'll lift the veil and look at what physicists have discovered. That your future is already embedded within the quantum field, waiting for you to tune your frequency high enough to receive it. Because the signs aren't slowing down, they're accelerating, becoming sharper, more precise. Your future self is getting louder. Most people still think of the future as something ahead, a timeline we move toward. But what if it isn't ahead at all? What if it's already encoded inside the field waiting to be unlocked by resonance? In classical physics, time runs in a straight line, past, present, future. But quantum mechanics shattered that illusion. Once scientists realized particles behaved differently based on observation, time itself began to warp. Wheeler's delayed choice experiment proved the present can influence the past. And if that's true, then the future must already exist, not as a fixed point, but as a cloud of infinite probabilities, waiting for your consciousness to select one. This is the quantum field. Not theory, but structure. A sea of vibrating data containing every possible version of you. The one who stayed, the one who left, the one who healed, and the one who doubted. It holds the relationship you haven't met yet, the success you secretly crave, the peace you've glimpsed but haven't yet anchored. All of it exists as frequency, already real, already encoded. Here's the key. The field doesn't respond to your wishes. It responds to your state. No matter how much you want something, if your emotional and energetic baseline doesn't match that reality, the signal won't connect. The download stalls. Manifestation isn't about calling in. It's about tuning in to the version of you where it's already true. That's why most people experience partial manifestations. Moments when alignment begins, then slips away. It's not that life gets in the way. It's that your signal drops. Think of the quantum field as a universal streaming platform. Each possible future a different channel. Your beliefs, emotions, and identity decide which one you're tuned to. Synchronicities are the previews. Flashes from the program your soul is beginning to stream. But if you don't stabilize the signal, if you fall out of coherence, the transmission fades, leaving you wondering if it was all in your imagination. It never was. It never is. Because, let's go deeper. Dr. Joe Dispenza often speaks about becoming no one, going nowhere in no time. What he means is that the only way to consciously access the quantum field is to step beyond the limits of your identity, to dissolve the emotional and neurological habits that keep you looping the same future. When you interrupt the pattern even briefly, an opening forms. That's when the field responds. That's when synchronicities multiply. Here's where neuroscience meets mysticism. Your brain is a map of the past. Every repeated thought, emotion, and behavior forms a neural network. And over time, those networks harden into personality. And your personality projects your personal reality. Which means as long as you keep being the same self, you'll keep living the same timeline. But the instant you think differently, feel differently, or make a new decision, the brain begins to rewire. The field notices. Time reorganizes itself around your new signal. You're not changing the future. You're aligning with one that already exists. Now here's the twist. Not all futures vibrate the same. Some are dense, repetitive, born from guilt, fear, or survival. Others are expansive, rich with joy, creativity, and coherence. They're not better, but they're clearer. And clarity strengthens your signal. So when synchronicities appear, numbers repeating, symbols recurring, chance encounters, don't ask, what does this mean? Ask, who am I becoming that allows this to appear? That question opens a portal because synchronicities don't show you what you want. They reveal what you're currently resonating with. Think about it. You consider calling someone you haven't seen in years, and they suddenly message you. You hesitate to apply for a job, and a stranger tells you a story that mirrors your dilemma. You're debating a move and the city's name flashes on a license plate beside you. Random? No. The field is reflecting the signal you've already begun broadcasting, sending you echoes to guide your alignment. But here's the catch, the field doesn't speak in words. It speaks in patterns. Miss the first signal, it repeats. Ignore the second, it grows louder. Keep silencing intuition with logic, fear, or distraction, and the signs fade. Not as punishment, but as energy conservation. The field amplifies only what you sustain. This brings us to a confronting truth. Most people are unconsciously transmitting resistance. They want transformation but vibrate contraction. They crave abundance but radiate lack. They seek love but expect disappointment. The field, or infinitely honest, mirrors these signals through people, events, and even synchronicities that seem negative. They're not punishment. They're proof that you're always creating, whether consciously or not. So what does this mean? Your role isn't to chase signs. It's to become a resonant field your future recognizes. You become predictable to the reality you desire. When your nervous system, thoughts, emotions, and intentions harmonize, reality responds instantly. That's when coincidences turn to confirmation. That's when time bends. That's when you realize you were never manifesting your future. You were remembering it, and we've only begun. In the next chapter, we'll decode the vibrational language of synchronicities, how they form, why they feel personal, and how to interpret them so precisely they become a map, a compass, even a live dialogue with your future self. Once you learn the syntax of these signals, you'll never walk blind again. A repeated number isn't random. A song that plays just as you think of someone isn't coincidence. These aren't glitches, and they're codes, vibrational data packets structured by resonance, perfectly matched to your frequency in that moment. But here's the missing piece. Synchronicities aren't messages to you, they're reflections of you. The universe isn't speaking to you, it's speaking as you. And when you grasp how these signals arise, how vibration, perception, and quantum entanglement dance, you'll stop asking, why did this happen? And start asking the only question that matters. What version of me is this trying to pull forward? Let's begin there. The universe doesn't communicate in language. It speaks in rhythm, geometry, and resonance. In physics, we call it coherent interference. In spirituality, alignment. Both describe the same phenomenon, the intersection of your inner state with the external field. That meeting point creates synchronicity. Now pause. This is vital. A synchronicity isn't the universe giving you something. It's the field confirming your signal has reached clarity. Think of it as an echo made visible bouncing back through time. Here's a metaphor. Imagine your consciousness as a lighthouse, sending light across the quantum ocean. Most of the time, the beam is scattered by doubt, distraction, or fear. But when you drop into coherence and when your thoughts, emotions, and nervous system unify, the beam sharpens. And somewhere across the sea of time, a version of you recognizes it and sends a pulse back. That pulse doesn't arrive as words, but as a synchronicity. A flash of light reminding you that the future is already reaching for you. It could be a stranger repeating a phrase you just thought. It could be a dream leaking into waking reality. It could be glancing at the clock at 11:11 the instant you make a choice. But the event itself isn't the message, the timing is. The alignment is. The fact that it pierced your awareness, stirred your body, and made you pause, that is the transmission. Now, here's where the science begins to echo the mystical. Dr. Rupert Sheldrake's theory of morphic resonance proposes that information patterns exist in a non-local field, and that similar patterns strengthen each other across space and time. Translation: the more a specific frequency, thought, emotion, or vision is activated, the stronger its gravitational pull in reality becomes. And synchronicities? They're the first ripples of that pull crystallizing into form. But if you're emotionally distracted, you'll miss them. And if you try to rationalize them, you'll scramble the signal. That's why the mind struggles to decode synchronicity. It's not written for logic. It's encoded in vibration. Neville Goddard said, "You attract what you are, not what you want." But with quantum insight, we can go further. You don't merely attract, you interface. When you feel resonance with a number, a face, or a moment, that feeling is the communication. The emotion is the confirmation. The meaning comes later. Most people only recognize big synchronicities and the obvious ones. But the field is far more subtle. There are micro-synchronicities happening all the time. Energy nudges, intuitive flashes, tiny timeline slips that only a deeply present mind perceives. That's why awakening feels like waking inside the dream. You start noticing the hidden patterns that were always there. Meditation, breathwork, presence. They're not spiritual extras. They're how you tune your receiver. Without them, your nervous system is too noisy to hear the signal. And science agrees. Neuroscientists have found that the heart generates a measurable electromagnetic field extending several feet beyond the body, one that detects shifts before the brain does. In other words, your heart senses synchronicity before your mind labels it. That flutter in your chest, the tingle, the drop in your stomach, those aren't reactions. They're translations. Your body is decoding data from the quantum field in real time, but noticing is just the beginning. The true mastery lies in how you respond. Every synchronicity is an initiation, a choice point where your future self extends an invitation. You must answer through action. Maybe it's the call you've been avoiding, the yes that scares you, the rewrite of your self-story. The field expands only when you prove you're ready to embody what it's showing you. Those who chase signs without changing themselves stay stuck in repetition, seeking validation instead of transformation. The field doesn't exist to entertain you. It exists to evolve you, so here's the paradox. Stop asking for signs, become one. Live so intentionally that your energy becomes unmistakable. Let your presence be a signal of coherence. Become the synchronicity in someone else's story. Because when your vibration stabilizes, the field reorganizes around you. People appear without summoning. Opportunities unfold without strain. Time flexes and reality rearranges itself. You become living proof, a walking bridge between timelines. The greatest misunderstanding is believing a synchronicity is the destination. It's not. It's a doorway, a breadcrumb left by the self that already remembers. But if you stop walking each time you see one, you miss the message completely. And now we enter deeper, more dangerous terrain. What happens when you ignore the signs? When the field keeps whispering and you keep doubting? In the next chapter, we'll explore the cost of spiritual amnesia. Why disregarding synchronicities delays your evolution, your manifestation, and sometimes your destiny itself. The field is patient, but not eternal. There's a silent pause that exists between every synchronicity and your response, already opening beneath your feet. Every breath, every thought, every act of awareness is weaving the bridge between who you've been and who you're becoming. The signs were never outside of you. They were your own energy reflecting back, whispering, remember. The more you choose presence, the faster reality responds because presence is the frequency of creation itself. You are not here to chase alignment. You are here to embody it. To walk through your days as a living resonance of coherence, trust, and surrender. The field isn't testing you. It's attuning to you. It's waiting for the moment your energy stabilizes enough to anchor what's already yours. And that happens not when you force, but when you remember that everything you've ever asked for has already been heard. So take one more breath. Feel your future self standing just beyond this moment. Not distant, not imaginary, but vibrantly real, waiting for your signal. When you say yes to presence, the bridge lights up. The synchronicities return not as curiosities, but as confirmations that you are in motion. That time itself is folding in your favor. This is where the story turns inward. The universe isn't asking you to wait for another message. It's asking you to become the message. To walk like a frequency, to breathe like a prayer, to act like reality bends for the brave, because it does. The field always mirrors the one who moves first. So as you close this chapter, remember, the quantum field doesn't reward effort, it responds to embodiment. The timeline you've been chasing is already listening. It's been whispering your name in every coincidence, every nudge, every quiet pull toward something greater. All that's left now is for you to step forward and claim it. Because the miracle was never waiting for you. It was waiting for you to arrive.